What would you do if everything you owned was taken from you after a loved one's death? It was a rainy afternoon in the small village of Umioba, and Adan sat by the window, staring at the droplets of water racing down the glass. Her heart was heavy, and her eyes were red from crying. Just 2 weeks ago, her husband, Emeka, had passed away after a sudden illness. He was her rock, her everything. Now, she felt like the world had crumbled beneath her feet. Adan and Emeka had been married for 10 years. They had 2 beautiful children, Chizim and Namdi, who were now 7 and 5 years old. Emeka was a hard-working man who ran a small but successful farm. He grew yams, cassava, and vegetables, which he sold at the local market. Adan helped him on the farm and also sold akara, bean cakes, in the village square. Life was not easy, but they were happy. When Emeka died, Adan thought she could rely on his family for support. After all, they were family. Emeka's younger brother, Chidi, and his wife, Nkechi, had always been kind to her. Emeka's parents, Papa Ifani and Mama Ngozi, lived in the same village and often visited. Adan believed they would stand by her in this difficult time. But she was wrong. The trouble started a few days after Emeka's burial. Chidi and Nkechi came to her house with Papa Ifani and Mama Ngozi. At first, they spoke softly, offering condolences and pretending to care. But soon, their true intentions became clear. Adan, Papa Ifani began, his voice firm. You know that everything Emeka owned belongs to our family. The farm, the land, even this house. You are just a woman. You cannot manage these things alone. We have come to take what is rightfully ours. Adan's heart sank. She could not believe what she was hearing. Papa, Emeka left these things for me and the children. He wanted us to have a future. How can you take everything from us? Mama Ngozi shook her head. Adan, you are young. You will marry again and leave this family. But the land and the farm must stay with us. It is our tradition. Chidi and Nkechi nodded in agreement. Adan felt a lump in her throat. She looked at her children, who were playing quietly in the corner. How could she provide for them if everything was taken away? The next day, Chidi and Nkechi returned with a group of men. They began to pack up everything in the house, furniture, pots, even the clothes Adan and the children wore. Adan tried to stop them, but they pushed her aside. This is not your property anymore, Nkechi said with a sneer. You are no longer part of this family. Adan felt helpless. She had no one to turn to. Her own family lived far away, and she had no money to travel to them. She sat on the bare floor of her empty house, holding her children close. Tears streamed down her face as she wondered what would become of them. Days turned into weeks, and Adan struggled to survive. She could no longer sell akara because her cooking pots had been taken. The farm, which was her only source of income, was now under Chidi's control. He refused to give her any of the produce. One evening, as Adan sat outside her house, a neighbor, Mama Ibe, approached her. Mama Ibe was an elderly woman known for her wisdom and kindness. Adan, my daughter, Mama Ibe said gently. I have seen what your in-laws have done to you. It is not right. But you must be strong for your children. There is a way out of this, but it will not be easy. Adan looked up, her eyes filled with hope. Mama Ibe, please help me. I don't know what to do. Mama Ibe sat beside her and whispered, there is a lawyer in the next town who helps women in situations like yours. He fights for their rights. If you can get to him, he may be able to help you get back what is yours. Adan's heart raced. Could this be her chance to fight back? But how would she get to the next town? She had no money, no means of transportation. And even if she did, would the lawyer really help her? As the sun set, Adan made a decision. She would not let her in-laws destroy her life. She would find a way to reach the lawyer and fight for her children's future. But the journey would not be easy, and she knew her in-laws would do everything to stop her. Adan spent the night thinking about Mama Ibe's words. She knew she had to act quickly before her in-laws completely erased her from the life she and Emeka had built together. The next morning, she woke up early, determined to find a way to the next town to see the lawyer Mama Ibe had mentioned. She dressed her children in the only clothes they had left and set out to the village square. There, she approached Mama Ibe again, who was selling roasted corn by the roadside. Mama Ibe, Adan said, her voice trembling but resolute, I have decided to go to the next town to see the lawyer. But I don't know how to get there. I have no money, and I don't want my in-laws to find out. Mama Ibe looked at her with kind eyes and nodded. Adan, you are brave. I will help you. My son, Uche, is a motorcycle rider. He can take you to the next town. I will speak to him, and he will not charge you. But you must leave early tomorrow morning before anyone sees you. Adan's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. Thank you, Mama Ibe. I will never forget your kindness. That evening, Adan packed a small bag with the little food she had left and prepared her children for the journey. She told them they were going on an adventure, not wanting to scare them with the truth. Chizem and Namdi, though confused, trusted their mother and held her hands tightly. The next morning, before the sun rose, Uche arrived at Adan's house with his motorcycle. Adan climbed on with Chisom, while Namdi sat in front of Uche. The journey was bumpy and long, but Adan held on tightly, her heart pounding with both fear and hope. When they finally arrived in the next town, Uche took them to the lawyer's office. The lawyer, Mr. Okonkwo, was a tall, serious-looking man with glasses. He listened carefully as Adan told him her story, her voice shaking but determined. My in-laws have taken everything from me, Adan said, tears streaming down her face. They say I am just a woman and cannot own anything. But my husband worked hard for our family. I cannot let them take what belongs to my children. Mr. Okonkwo leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. Adan, what your in-laws have done is wrong. The law is on your side. You are entitled to your husband's property, and no one can take it from you. But we will need to gather evidence and file a case in court. This will take time, and your in-laws may try to intimidate you. Are you ready to fight? Adan nodded without hesitation. I will do whatever it takes to protect my children. Mr. Okonkwo smiled for the first time. Good. I will help you. But you must be strong. This will not be easy. Adan left the lawyer's office with a glimmer of hope. Uche took her and the children back to the village, promising to keep their journey a secret. When they returned, Adan pretended as if nothing had happened, but deep down, she was preparing for the battle ahead. A few days later, Chidi and Kechi came to her house again, this time with a document in hand. Adan, Chidi said, his voice cold, you need to sign this paper. It says you are giving up all rights to Emeka's property. If you don't sign, we will make life very difficult for you. Adan's hands trembled as she looked at the paper. She knew this was a trap, but she also knew she had to be careful. She forced a smile and said, let me think about it. I will give you my answer soon. Chidi and Kechi exchanged suspicious glances but eventually left, warning her not to take too long. That night, Adan lay awake, her mind racing. She knew her in-laws were growing impatient, and she feared what they might do next. But she also knew she had Mr. Okonkwo on her side. She just had to hold on a little longer. The next morning, as she prepared her children for the day, she heard a loud knock on the door. Her heart skipped a beat. Who could it be this early? She opened the door to find two men she had never seen before. They looked serious and unfriendly. Adan, one of them said, we have been sent by your in-laws. You have until the end of the week to leave this house. If you don't, we will come and remove you by force. Adan's legs felt weak, but she stood her ground. This is my home. I will not leave. The men smirked and walked away, leaving Adan trembling with fear. She knew time was running out. She had to act fast. Adan knew she couldn't wait any longer. The threats from her in-laws were becoming more serious, and she feared for her safety and that of her children. She decided to reach out to Mr. Okonkwo immediately. Using the little money she had saved from selling akara in secret, she borrowed a neighbor's phone and called a lawyer. "Mr. Okonkwo," she said, her voice urgent, "my in-laws are threatening to throw me out of the house. They gave me until the end of the week to leave. What should I do?" Mr. Okonkwo's voice was calm but firm. "Adan, don't panic. I will file an emergency motion in court to stop them from evicting you. I will also send a letter to your in-laws, warning them not to take any action until the matter is resolved in court. But you must stay strong. Do not sign anything they give you, and do not leave the house." Adan felt a small sense of relief, but she knew the battle was far from over. She thanked Mr. Okonkwo and hung up the phone. That evening, she gathered her children and held them close. "We will be okay," she whispered to them. "Mama will make sure of it." The next day, Adan received a letter from Mr. Okonkwo. It was addressed to her in-laws, warning them that any attempt to evict her or take her property would be met with legal consequences. She decided to deliver the letter herself to Papa Ifoni's house. When she arrived, Chidi and Kechi were there, along with Papa Ifoni and Mama Ngozi. They looked surprised to see her, but their expressions quickly turned to anger when she handed them the letter. "What is this?" Chidi demanded, snatching the letter from her hand. "It's from my lawyer," Adan said, her voice steady. "He says you cannot evict me or take anything that belongs to me and my children. The matter will be decided in court." Papa Ifoni's face turned red with rage. "You dare to challenge us? You are nothing but a widow. You have no power here." Adan stood tall, refusing to back down. "I may be a widow, but I am also a mother. I will fight for what is rightfully mine." The room fell silent as her in-laws read the letter. For the first time, Adan saw a flicker of doubt in their eyes. They had not expected her to fight back. Over the next few weeks, the case went to court. Mr. Okonkwo presented evidence of Emeka's will, which clearly stated that his property should go to Adan and their children. He also argued that Adan had contributed to the farm and the household, making her entitled to her share. The judge ruled in Adan's favor, declaring that her in-laws had no right to take her property. He ordered them to return everything they had taken and to stop harassing her. Adan's in-laws were furious, but they had no choice but to obey the court's decision. When Adan returned to her house, she felt a sense of victory she had never known before. Her children ran around the house, laughing and playing, as if they could feel their mother's relief. Adan knew life would still be challenging, but she had proven to herself and everyone else that she was strong enough to face whatever came her way. Moral lesson: Adan's story teaches us that no matter how difficult life may seem, we must never give up. With courage, determination, and the right support, we can overcome even the toughest challenges. It also reminds us that greed and injustice will always be defeated by truth and perseverance. Adan fought not just for herself, but for her children's future, showing that a mother's love and strength can move mountains. If you've ever faced a similar situation or know someone who has, we'd love to hear your story. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your words might help someone going through the same struggle. Please don't forget to share, like and subscribe to Niger Trends TV for more stories like this. Till we meet again, bye for now.